Welcome to the Harshey Podcast with myself, Brandon Harshey.
You're such a dork. And January Harshey.
That was kind of lame. Come on, give yourself a better intro than that.
I can't even come up with anything that's as amazing as yours.
Oh, all right.
So I'm not even going to try. Go ahead.
Good. All right. Well, first order of business is a huge thank you to everyone who listened to our very first podcast episode. I have been wanting to do a podcast for a couple of years now. I've been trying to talk January into it and say, hey, we got to do a podcast. This would be great. You say a lot of great things. A lot of people would want to hear what you have to say. They might enjoy our goofy banter back and forth. You're like, I don't know, maybe. I'm not sure. And then finally we pulled the trigger on it, did our first podcast, and set it up, uploaded it, made it live last week. And man, oh man, everyone has given us nothing but great comments, great reviews. Just kind of blowing my mind. I expected it to be good, but wow.
Yeah, thanks, you guys. He's been a little excited over here. He has refreshed the screen on how many downloads a lot. He's been like a child. And it's been fun. It's been really fun. He did tell me that it would be amazing and wonderful. And he has proven to be right. So I guess we'll keep doing it.
Yeah. We'll keep going.
Yeah. So I asked actually this week if we should do one or two, and I've gotten so many different answers, and the feedback has been amazing. And I'm really excited to just have the opportunity to talk more on things that I'm passionate about, and in the future have some guests on here that we like, and see what kind of great just information and solidarity we can get out there. So speaking of, there's some things on my mind this week that I would like to talk about. I've posted a little bit on my Instagram if you follow me there, but I want to talk about, I guess, prioritizing yourself first. And with that comes listening to your instincts and setting boundaries. So this is something that Brandon is a lot better at than I am.
I'm pretty good at it, yes.
He has no problems caring about what other people think about him or putting himself last. So this is something that I've experienced more of having to learn than Brandon has. And I think that it's very valuable and important. I wish it didn't take me until 38, but that's just life. We all have our own things that we have to learn and improve at. So I posted on my Instagram about listening to instincts this week, and I want to share with you a little bit more about what happened with that. So I am doing quite a few events this year, and I am now in we're in month 7 of 2017, and I have not rescheduled or canceled any events this year. And there's been quite a few. And it was interesting because when we went to go book the travel a few weeks ago for my event that was supposed to be last weekend in Columbus, Ohio, I just had this strong feeling that I just wasn't supposed to go last weekend. I just didn't feel right about it. And I questioned it for a few days. I thought, Mom, maybe it's just because I don't want to leave for the weekend, or I'm just getting tired of traveling. And every time I went to go book things, there was just this strong feeling in my gut that it wasn't right for me to go. The thing about listening to your instincts that can be challenging at times is, especially if you're like me, is what will everyone think? And in this case, I had about 40 or 50 people that I had to worry about what everyone would think. And I almost didn't listen to my gut because of that. But I then realized that I have to practice what I preach. And when it comes to self-care and listening to instincts, if I was talking to a friend, if I was talking to any one of you, and you were telling me that you felt the way I was feeling about this, I asked myself, what would I tell you? What would I tell that friend? And that's how I practice being my own friend in my own mind sometimes. And so that's what I did. And I would tell a friend, you have to listen to your instincts. You have to listen to your gut, and you matter. And your mental health matters. And so that's what I did. And we rescheduled, actually it was 2 events, but we rescheduled them. And the other interesting thing about listening to your instincts or listening to your gut is that why it may be the right thing to do, it's not always the easy thing to do. Not only because worried about what people think, but just you have to change things up, and it might cost you money. It might cost you time. It might cost you friendships. And so there was some pushback. There were some people who were upset with me. And I did receive some emails where people were disappointed, which is fine. I completely understand that. And I received some emails that were very hurtful. And that upset me because these people in one breath told me how much I helped them, and another breath said some very hurtful things. And, the interesting thing throughout this experience is I still didn't question myself. I knew that I did what was right for me and for my family, and that I was being as authentic as I could possibly be. And if some people were not going to extend me grace, I would just have to extend myself some extra grace for them. And there were other people who responded that were very understanding and really wonderful, and it was very beautiful. So that's just life. That's how experiences are. And I still had to follow those instincts and still do what I felt was right. And there were some things that happened last weekend that many times actually I looked at you and I said, I am so glad I listened to my gut on this.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was basically how I responded every single time. I hurt my back. And I needed more rest. And I've had some mental health things that I'm working through. And we had a family pet that died on Saturday. I would have been at an event, and instead of being here with my oldest daughter, it's one of her pet rats that we adopted and rescued. And she said to me on the way to the vet, she said, if you were not here today and this weekend, I would not have been okay, Mom. And so I was just meant to be here. And there might have been other things that could have happened that weekend that I'll never know about. So sometimes we get to see that it was the right thing to do. Other times we'll never know. The important thing is to listen to your instincts, especially when it comes to prioritizing yourself and your self-care and your mental health. Don't you agree?
I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had not been here and we were dealing with that issue with our dying pet, that would have been very challenging, because I can't imagine it would be like lugging 6 kids to the vet
in the heat with
in the crazy triple-digit Austin heat that we have going on right now.
Yeah.
That would have been a very
even just emotionally
tough
too.
weekend.
This sweet little pet rat, my oldest daughter and I have been nursing and taking care of the last 4 to 6 weeks. So it was definitely something I needed to be here for. So
one thing I want to add too is when you talk about trusting your instincts, January and I have been together 19 years, as from our podcast episode last week. And literally, I can tell you without any kind of doubt whatsoever, every single time in this past 19 years that January has said something, she has a gut feeling about it, or it's her instincts, she has always been right. So there have been many times where we're trying to come up with a decision about something, whether it's travel arrangement or some business idea or something with the kids, and we're just going round and round in circles, can't figure out what the heck to do, and then I'll just look at January and say, hey, what does your gut tell you?
Yeah, he does.
And that's literally our final decision right there, because your gut has literally never been wrong in all our time together. So
I feel like energy doesn't lie, and I feel like instincts, the more in tune you are, just the stronger they are. And it's kind of funny, if any of you are Sherlock fans with, how do you say his name?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
I don't know. I just love him. But we were watching an episode of that a few weeks ago, and they were talking about all of the different things going on around you that is too much for your conscious brain to take in, and his does. That's why he's like who he is. And I've been thinking about that recently, about how there's all these things, all this energy and all of these things that we're taking in, all these little factors, conversations, different information. And I think a lot of times listening to your instincts is just knowing, like your subconscious knowing those things. Anytime I have not listened to my instincts, I have regretted it every single time. So I figure at 38, I don't want to go through that anymore. So, but I think that following your instincts and making choices like this also comes with prioritizing yourself, as I said, with self-care and also boundaries. And boundaries is a tricky thing. For example, with me rescheduling this event, did I apologize for the inconvenience? I did. I apologize if it disappointed people and for the inconvenience, but I'm not sorry that I did it. I'm not sorry that I made the changes I need to make. So it's okay to be understanding and to be kind and to be loving and to take responsibility and own it, while at the same time having a boundary set that says, I need to draw a line in the sand here. And, I need to do this for myself. We can still care for others while making sure that we're caring for ourselves. It doesn't have to be either or. They can go hand in hand. And the thing with setting boundaries is people will push back.
Yes, they will.
They just will. And you don't have to be rude. You don't have to be nasty about it. You don't have to be dramatic about it. I mean, I know I probably would have been in my 20s, even maybe my early 30s. But, you can set boundaries very firmly and also still be kind and giving. It doesn't have to be either or again. Yeah. I'm a kind of person who I go into things all or nothing many times, but there are some things like this that I realize it doesn't have to be all or nothing, and sometimes when you set boundaries, people will push back really, really hard. And the more you're just a steady force for yourself, the calmer it gets and the more people understand. And then, if somebody isn't going to be respectful of that, they're just not meant to be in your space anymore. They're not meant to be in your bubble of people that you love and trust and that will support you. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do. And setting boundaries is, I guess you could look at it as a form of what you would call self-care. There's
absolutely.
There's a saying in sports, if you're not first, you're last. And I think that applies to ourselves as well. If we're not taking care of ourselves first, that it's very easy to be last on the plate, especially when you have
absolutely.
You have a family, you have friends, that sort of thing. So you definitely want to make sure you're taking time to do the things that fill your cup, that help you to be more capable of handling the things that come your way. And when you're taking care of yourself in that way, then part of that is setting the boundaries.
I think that being a human is hard enough. I think that life, even when it's blessed, can be very challenging and difficult. So if we're on top of that, putting ourselves last, you just get to the point where there's not much left of you to give to anyone. And that serves no one. That doesn't serve you. That doesn't serve the people that you love, your family, your friends. And so I have this saying that self-care is not selfish. Not practicing self-care is selfish.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of a flip of the perspective there. So many women express to me that they feel guilty if they take care of themselves. And let me ask you, if you're one of those people, do you feel guilty when you take care of your child? Do you feel guilty when you do something nice for your partner or your spouse? Probably not. But you're part of your family too. So why would you feel guilty doing something for you? You deserve that same love and that same care that you give to them. Self-care is not selfish. It's necessary. It's selfless, especially when you have people who depend on you. Brandon is the one that made me realize that I was always putting myself last. Last year I was, just overworked, basically. I was very overworked, and I was very stressed out one day, and he said, give me a list of everything you have to get done. I was like, fine. And I listed it all out. And the last thing I said after about 15 other things was, I haven't even had time to power lift this week. And he looked at me and said, there's one thing that you need to change that will make all of this better. I was like, oh, enlighten me, wise one.
Oh, enlighten you I did.
And he said, you need to take yourself from the bottom of that list and put yourself on the top.
Boom.
And I was like, oh, damn, you've got a point.
Yep.
My mind was blown. I was like, he really does know something.
Like smart and stuff or something.
Yeah. And so I had to sit with that one for a while. I really did. And last year in December, I had a few more events left, and I wasn't feeling well. I was having gallbladder attacks, and I was, again, overworked, and I was just exhausted. I had already done, 35 events, and we had so many stressors last year. And I remember looking at Brandon. What happened is I had a really horrible gallbladder attack.
Yes.
And the next morning I had to drive to Dallas to do back-to-back events. And I did that, and I came home and I did a cleanse, which was awful. I basically think every single one of my organs cleaned out. It was so awful. I'll never do that again. And, and I was really weak, and I had an event in Buffalo, New York the next weekend, my last event of the year. And I looked at Brandon and I said, you know how people have mental breakdowns, usually in public, like, Kanye? He's like, where is this going?
He's had a few.
Yeah, he's like, where is this going in January? I'm like, well, if I go to Buffalo this weekend, that's going to be me. I'm going to pull a Kanye. And Brandon said, then you need to reschedule your event. And my response was, nope, I can't do that. These people are depending on me to go. And he said, when are you going to choose yourself over everyone else?
Yep, you got to extend yourself some grace.
That's right. He did. He totally called me on my bullshit and put my words back towards me. And he was right. I was choosing everyone else but myself, and I wasn't okay. So that was the first time I ever rescheduled an event for myself. And it was drawing a line in the sand, just right there, like no more.
Mm-hmm.
I have to, every single day when I wake up in the morning, what do I need before I give to everyone else? And we live in a time where not only our family needs us, or our community, our friends, our extended family, but then so many of us are working too, and we have businesses and social media, and we think we need to be available 24/7 to others, and others treat us like we need to be available to them 24/7. I get it all the time, and it's just not true. Like, it's not possible, and that goes back to the boundaries.
Yeah.
People will message me or email me, and they're like, how come you haven't responded to me? It's like, I don't know, maybe I was sitting on the toilet reading a good book. I don't always have to have my phone on me, and I don't always have to give an instant response. Like, I have a life outside of social media, and I'm okay with that. And if somebody else isn't okay with that, that's not my problem.
Why didn't I respond to you? Because I didn't feel like it.
I didn't want to. That's why.
I had to go and get a drink of water and
I know.
eat some lunch and
I know. It's
go
wild.
do 100 other things.
And this, first. I think that boundaries are probably in self-care are probably needed more now than ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
With social media.
Well, and social media breaches that whole boundary line. I mean, everywhere you go, you see, and it's more with younger people. It's funny, I'm at the age now where I can say, oh, those younger people.
Like me. Younger people like me. Go ahead.
All those kids on their phones. Those teenagers.
Oh my gosh. That was just us not that long ago.
Oh, those little whippersnappers.
Did you have a point?
I did. But everyone is so enmeshed in social media and Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's so crazy. And everyone's got their notifications on their phone. So anytime someone comments, back to you on Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, you get the little, buzz or the little chime, and you got to get back to it right away. And it's just crazy. In between that and, well, there's nothing really in between. That's it. It's consuming, and it's creating this, well, like you call it, a virtual reality. It's people are more tuned in and more dialed into what's going on, in their Instagram search or on Twitter or the newest debate that's broken out on Facebook, because that's really all Facebook is good for, is just debating and fighting with people. Then you see them in real life, and then it's awkward.
Yeah.
But yeah,
because you can literally turn off those apps or your phone, and they have no bearing on your life.
Yeah.
So how much attention and time and energy are we giving to this virtual reality? It's great to use it as a resource. And if you need information or you need to reach out to people in your situation or whatnot and get support, but it should not replace your real life interactions. And I know that many of you are guilty of this, where you're constantly checking in on your Facebook, your Instagram, Snapchat, and your child needs you and you snap at them.
I've been guilty of it.
Yeah. And
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. And we're all there. I think many of us are there. And I don't think we realize how addicted we are to it until we put it down and we want to check it over and over again. And you really have to give yourself a break from that addiction. And this all stems back to self-care for me. I feel when it comes to social media that we need to apply self-care and boundaries. And I've seen an increase of anxiety in people. When I first started speaking, 5 years ago and 4 years ago, I'd ask a room full of, let's say 100 people who here deals with anxiety, and maybe 4 hands would go up. And now if I ask a room of 100 people who here deals with anxiety, I would say about 80% of the hands will go up. And it blows my mind every time. It's such a huge difference. And I think there's a few reasons for this. I think the first is that we're more willing to be honest and talk about mental health than before. But I think the bigger part of it is social media. Yeah. And this is why. We are all going through our own stuff. We're all going through hardships. We're going through hard times financially, jobs, partners and spouses, kids, in-laws, we're all going through different things in our lives that are challenging. And then we get on Facebook and we take in all of our friends' things that they're posting and all their opinions on everything from politics to vaccines. And then we're reading debates. And then because it's Facebook, anything your friends' are commenting or liking on, it shows up in your news feed. And so now you're literally taking in all of these people, many you don't know, and probably most you don't even like, because why are we friends with people from like junior high and high school that we didn't like then? You probably don't like them now. And you're taking in all of their problems and all of their opinions, and who cares what they think, right? But it doesn't matter because you're still taking in. You guys, our brains cannot filter all that. Our brains cannot process all that. And then many of us are sleep deprived on top of it. So we're not even getting the sleep for our brains to process this shit.
Yeah, if you're a parent, you're sleep deprived.
Right. And so, we wonder why we deal with anxiety, why anxiety is going up more and more. It's because we literally cannot process the amount of information and drama and debates and hate and everything else that we're reading on social media. So I don't tell people to get off social media because I know that's not always the answer, but we can be more mindful with it. We can set some healthy boundaries with it. Yeah. If you didn't like Susan from 6th grade, then you probably don't like her now. So you can unfriend her or decline her friend request. Or if you have a sister-in-law who just always is posting negative things and your whole family is debating, if you can't unfriend them because it's going to cause you more drama, you can unfollow them and they won't even know it. But yeah, to be more mindful with it and set healthy boundaries with it, you know, and approach your social media with a self-care mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's been even more magnified just in this past year. You know, we went through this last election cycle, and I don't know about anyone else listening to this, but I know just for us, we were just like, what in the hell? It was crazy. Everything that was going on with the election, with, you know, both candidates and even, you know, post-election, even
It was
now,
intense.
It's
you like the word crazy, by the way, you say it a lot.
crazy, yes. Well,
Is that
I
how you
am
feel?
crazy, so I can get away with saying it. So
It was
that's for a later podcast.
Yeah,
though.
it is for later podcasts. It's intense. It was really intense.
Incredibly intense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and really, really frustrating.
I literally got off Facebook because I was sick and tired of seeing half of the 10 trending topics on Facebook every single day was something about Trump and what he was or wasn't doing, and I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I'm so tired of this. Like, I don't care about this news story or about this stupid tweet that you had. I don't care about this stuff. And it was funny because back in 2012, when that whole election cycle was going on between Obama and Mitt Romney, it was kind of a similar thing going on, not quite as intense as this time around, but between that and I was in all the chiropractic groups, and you know, everyone was debating different chiropractic techniques and this or that parenting style or health belief, and it was crazy. So I got off Facebook for a while, but then I stupidly went back on. So I can say for now I've gotten off the second time, and it's final. That's my final answer.
Was it crazy?
It was crazy.
I've been trying to work with him on not saying
It was
that
cray-cray.
as much. Oh, no, you didn't.
Oh no, you didn't.
Oh man, I don't know if we should share this podcast.
Why?
Oh man, when you said you wanted people to really hear our conversations, I didn't know you meant to like really.
Well, hey, it's, you know,
Yeah.
I didn't say anything bad. I didn't say anything crazy.
Oh my god. Oh man. Yeah. Okay.
You're stumped.
I am stumped. I'm not really quite sure what to say to you right now. Anyways, so back to social media. Be more mindful with it. And anytime I see something pop up on my news feed, I'm mostly on Instagram, that makes me feel bad in any way or increases my anxiety, or if I start comparing with someone, I just unfollow them. You know, I have no problem with even friends that I love. Like, if I need to for a while, I will. And it's not personal. Like, when did social media become the end all be all of who our friendships are? I have a friend who she hunts, and I'm vegan. So, you know, you can imagine that I really didn't want to see that in her Instagram story. But I text with her and work with her, and she's spoken at some of my events, and we were sitting together the night before an event, sharing a drink and hanging out and laughing. And I said, you know, I unfollowed you on Instagram. She's like, no, you didn't. I'm like, yeah, you were showing literally how you were killing and cleaning the deer afterwards on your Instagram story. She's like, oh, you probably didn't want to see that. I was like, no, I love you and I respect you, but I didn't want to see that. And I don't have to follow you on Instagram for us to be friends. And, you know, so it goes both ways. You know, you don't have to follow or friend people that you don't particularly care for, or, you know, don't add any value or positivity to your life. And you also don't have to be friends with your friends who you do love if, you know, it's going to be upsetting in any way. Again, boundaries.
Yeah. It's kind of always boggled my mind, that whole thing. And like I said before, it seems like it's worse on Facebook, where if you unfriend someone there, it's like a personal affront. You have insulted their honor and integrity and everything else you can think of. And it's like, who cares? I mean, it's just stupid virtual reality.
I think if we're using our instincts and listening to our instincts, and we're approaching things from that perspective and the perspective of self-care, that we're going to make different decisions that are going to be healthier for our everyday life and for our mental health, which is really important.
Yeah, one change I've made in the last month is I used to do this often. Is I like to get up in the morning and work out in the morning. And I have a schedule where I lift weights every other morning, and the other mornings I'll try and get up and do some kind of walking, or I haven't in a while, but sometimes some yoga. And I was doing it very religiously before and even after we had our last baby, up until about 6 months old, when she started teething, and you needed help with basically me taking her in the mornings. So we kind of traded off. You had her like first half of the morning or the first half of the night to early morning, and then I would take her, and we ended up both being sleep deprived basically for close to a year. Basically. And my whole morning workout routine went out the window. I mean, at that point, I just worked out whenever I could throughout the day. And
survival mode.
And I just could feel that I wasn't as sharp or as on point as I was before. And for me, getting up earlier in the morning and having that time to myself, to focus on bettering myself, which I look at exercising as being a combination of that and a form of meditation. If you think about it, because I'm focusing on improving that aspect of my health, my life, and it's a singular focus when I'm doing it. When I'm in the gym lifting weights, I'm totally focused on that particular session in the gym. Or this morning, I went on a really long walk for an hour. I don't know how long it was, probably close to 3 miles, maybe more, I'm not sure, but it was just focusing on that. And it's a great form of self-care for myself. And for me, I feel like I'm better for the rest of my family after that. And you talked about by taking care of yourself first, then that's the least selfish thing you can do. And I really feel like that applies to me, because when I take care of myself, then I'm a better husband, I'm a better father, a better human being overall. Whereas when I don't, when I accidentally sleep in and I have to take care of the kids or do other stuff first, I almost feel, maybe it's a little bit extreme, it's almost like this resentful feeling. Like,
no,
hey,
it's not extreme. I think that's pretty normal.
Yeah, it's like, hey, what about me? I need to take care of myself here. I got to do something. And so it's just, for me, getting up in the morning and exercising first thing is paramount for me.
And I have this thing that I do in the morning where I sleep.
You do?
Where I stay in bed.
But you're a night owl. So
I am.
We have kind of opposite.
Yeah, we
schedules.
do. I know. I'm really proud of you for finally, after 19 years, starting to accept that.
Well, I'm a fast learner.
Yeah, not giving me crap anymore.
Nothing gets by me.
You know, another thing I want to point out real quick when it comes to boundaries is there's this quote that I share. I don't know who the quote is by, so if anyone knows, let me know. But you're under no obligation to be the same person you were a year, a month, or even 15 minutes ago. You have the right to grow. And I think sometimes when we change or we set boundaries, especially family, you know, they want to treat you the way you were a year ago or the way you were, you know, when you were a kid. And you're not under the obligation to be that same person. And don't let them bring you down. Don't let other people judge you based on who you were, you know, even 2 years ago. If somebody is going to judge me based on who I was a year ago, I've just decided that doesn't matter, because I'm not the same person. I've grown, and if somebody loves me, then they're going to see that, and they're going to support me in that instead of trying to pull me down and focus on, you know, my mistakes or the negativity.
Yeah. You know, that's an interesting point to bring up, because before I got off Facebook this last time, I was invited into a private group of our graduating high school class because our 20-year high school reunion is coming up here in, I guess, a couple months. If I remember correctly, it's supposed to be the homecoming.
I
in
can't believe
September.
that. I cannot believe that.
Yeah, 20 years ago.
When did
1997.
20 years.
But
Why the hell would I want to go back to that?
and there was probably close to 200 people in there,
Yeah.
and I was looking through it, and you know how you do. You kind of creep through everyone's profile. You're like, oh, what's so and so doing
Yeah.
now, or what are they doing? And majority of everyone that I saw in that group were still there in Scottsdale. We went to high school, Horizon High School in Scottsdale, and most people we saw are still out in that Phoenix area. And I don't know about anyone else, but for me personally, high school was somewhat of a painful time in my life, and it's not something I want to go back to. And I don't know most of these people beyond how I knew them in high school, and I'm a completely different person, totally 180 degrees different. I mean, I was a punk ass in high school, like, yeah.
You thought you were so cool.
So cool.
You
That's how my dad would say it.
you thought you were just the shit.
Well, I did think I was kind of cool. I could grow facial hair at an early age, and I was able to buy alcohol at 16.
Oh my
and,
gosh,
you know, I felt like a pretty
How
badass.
priorities change, right?
Now I don't even drink, so it's like, who gives a
Dumb.
shit, really? But yeah, I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to go back and have to explain, try to explain the ensuing 20 years of my life to people I haven't talked to in 20 years, and still think of me as harshy as that guy that I used to be. And so, yeah, it's sometimes getting away from those type of people, not necessarily those type of people, but like January said, family sometimes can be the worst, and looking at you the way they looked at you years ago when you were a kid or teenager, whatever it is, sometimes you just need to unfollow, get away,
Yeah, do your
set
own
your
thing.
boundary.
There's another quote that I love. It's, I heard you were focusing a little more on yourself and worrying a little less about everyone else. That's beautiful. I don't know where that stemmed from either. It's one of those that floats around, but
I think I said that one.
no, I've shared that as well, and I think that also implies that self-care is not selfish. I think giving all that attention that you're giving to everyone else on your Facebook feed and whatnot, give that attention to yourself.
Yeah.
Give that
seriously.
love to yourself, and be okay if other people aren't okay with it. It's okay if you disappoint someone, if you're working on yourself and you're not hurting anyone. One of my favorite sayings is, do no harm, take no shit.
Yeah.
So do no harm, but take no shit, and work on yourself and give yourself that love, because it's hard. It's hard to love yourself, and it's hard to improve yourself. And so if you're doing that, I'm proud of you, and I see you, and I love you. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
It's a hard life sometimes. So do your best to take care of yourself, and everything else might seem just a little bit easier. Not always, or maybe even a little bit simpler, I should say, is better.
That's my favorite word, simple.
Simple.
You can
is
use that
possible.
word as much as you want.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Easy is not necessarily what we always want, because that just seems kind of like a boring life to me. But simple is better.
I like it. I like that a lot.
That was very good.
Yeah. So anything else on your mind? That was mostly what I wanted to share this time.
So where are you going to be this weekend?
Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio.
And then next weekend, Portland, Maine.
Portland, Maine.
And then 2 weeks after that, San Diego.
San Diego.
Are you just going to repeat every single one I say?
No.
Okay. Well, you just did.
Well, I was thinking of repeating that, but I didn't.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to be...
Columbus this weekend. Portland, Maine's on August 5th. And San Diego's August 19th, in case you were wondering the dates.
In case they didn't get it when I said it, and then when you
Well, you
repeated
didn't say
after
the
me.
dates. You just said the weekends.
Wow. So...
Did I strike a nerve?
Oh, my God. Yeah, you kind of did. Oh, man. Yeah, and we also still have our merch out. It's still in stock. It's
Self-Love Generation store.
Yeah. So that link is selflovegeneration.com, or you can go to harshi.blog/store. Is that what it is?
That is what it is.
I'm proud of
Which,
myself.
kind of falls in line with making yourself a priority.
Mhm.
We named it Self-Love Generation, so
Well, that's a whole other podcast.
you want to be able to love yourself.
No, you're not
and
allowed
buy
to
one of our shirts at the same time.
That is not.
Maybe
that
even
is not what self-love
A
generation
You Do You
means.
Boo Rainbow Unicorn
Stop
lanyard.
it. Stop it. That is not what that means. That's for a different podcast, though, for sure.
True.
But no, don't even put out a misconception about what that means. I will hurt you.
I promise if you buy a shirt, you'll love yourself more.
Stop it.
I will love you more if you buy a
Oh,
shirt.
goodness. Other exciting things is next Tuesday I get my next tattoo.
Ah, that's pretty exciting.
I know. I'm getting the chalk heart that one of my daughters, one of our daughters did on the sidewalk. And I love it. And it actually symbolizes self-love generation to me. So maybe we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
And I'm
Where are you
getting
getting
that on my hand.
All right.
Now I'm committed. You made me say it on the podcast.
Yep. What does the tattoo artist say? It's the job stopper. Hopefully you don't have to.
I wonder if my boss will fire me. I might have to wear gloves to work. Oh my goodness.
Oh, man.
I visualized it on my hand and I've tried to talk myself out of it because I'm like, no, there's no way I can get a tattoo on my hand. What am I thinking? But every time I think of it somewhere else, it doesn't feel right. And I know that I'll regret it. I'll regret not getting it where I have visualized it and it felt right the whole time. So I might be getting this tattoo with a little tiny bit of fear, but maybe I'll process it by then. Maybe I'll do a harmony circle to process my fear over getting this tattoo on my hand. But
make yourself a little bracelet and
I
then
think it's gonna
cut the cord.
For those of you that have been to an event, you'll understand what he's talking about. For those of you that don't, please excuse him. Anyways, so I'm getting that on Tuesday and when I get back from Columbus. But I hope
That's exciting, actually.
Yeah, it is. And then I will have gotten all the tattoos that I've planned so far. So I'm going to need some new ideas.
Oh, I have that one idea for you.
Oh, that's true. We can't talk about that right now, though.
No, we cannot.
Because that includes some surprises.
I'm going to sketch that out.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
We can talk about it at a later date, though.
We will. So many promises.
I know.
Anyways, I hope that
Kind of exciting.
this podcast inspires you to take care of yourself a little more, to listen to your instincts and know that they're there for a reason. You're smart and you're wise, so act like it. And
apply yourself.
And if you're needing to set some boundaries, that I got your back. So with that, we'll say goodbye until next time.
Until next time.
All right, love you guys. Take care.
Adios.
Bye.